Alrighty guys, welcome back to Star Wars Review. Today I'm reviewing Star Wars The Rise of Kylo Ren, the full comic miniseries, which was written by Charles Soule with art by Sliney, and the series was 4 issues long, which released from December 18th, 2019 to March 11th, 2020, with a trade paperback collecting all 4 issues, releasing on August 11th, 2020. Which I did do individual issue reviews back when they released about 5 years ago now. But there's now a new Kylo Ren comic from Charles Soule coming out. So I wanted to revisit this series and do a full review for it, because I just never did it after it finished, which I quite enjoyed it. I remember liking it when I originally read it, 5 years ago now, and I think it holds up on a reread, which the series follows Ben Solo after he destroys Luke's Jedi Temple and how he becomes Kylo Ren, which probably my favorite stuff from the series was seeing his fall and how just conflicted he is throughout the series, and also how he's trying to be maybe a bit of a tryhard, to be a dark side user, but obviously in the end he embraces the darkness and becomes Kylo Ren. But there are a couple other characters who are involved in getting Ben to embrace the dark side, which the biggest one and probably my favorite one introduced in this series was Ren, the leader of the Knights of Ren, which he's a mysterious but charismatic leader of the group, who I instantly liked, which he has actually since appeared in more Star Wars comics by Charles Soule set during the Galactic Civil War, and I'd honestly kind of like a series or miniseries focusing just on him and have him as the main character, but in this series, like I said, he's more there to pull Ben to the dark side. And so I really enjoyed the dynamic between him and Ben and how it all plays out and whatnot. But obviously, in this series, we do see some stuff with Luke's Jedi Temple. There's a couple flashback moments, which I quite enjoyed all of those. The longest one was in the second issue, when we see Luke and Ben have their first encounter with the Knights of Ren. And, is the first time Ren tries to pull Ben to the dark side. But then there's other flashbacks with Ben and a couple other Padawans getting taught by Luke, which in the present day story, we see 3 of them survived the destruction, and they're now chasing after Ben, which are named Vo, Tay, and Hennix. And, they arrive at the temple just before Ben leaves, and they end up having a couple encounters with Ben, which I will say I never really connected with them that much, so I didn't really care that much about their outcomes, which, spoiler alert, they all die, but I still like them for kind of showing Ben's conflict within himself, that he hasn't completely fallen yet, as he does struggle to kill them at first, but he then embraces the dark side more, and some of that conflict somewhat goes away in him, and he doesn't struggle as much. He does end up killing the one Padawan Vo, but even then he still is conflicted at the end when he bleeds his lightsaber crystal and messes it up, which was one of my favorite scenes from the series. But there were also flashbacks with Kylo and Ben and the other Padawans as we see Luke teaching them and whatnot. It was a rather small part, but I enjoyed those scenes. There is also some Snoke stuff, not that much, but we see him manipulate Ben into falling to the dark side. But there's not a whole lot of Snoke moments in this series. But I enjoyed the series. It doesn't really have any huge, shocking revelations, but I thought it was a good character-driven story about Ben's fall to the dark side, and it is a comic I know I'll most likely revisit again in the future as more stories get told about Ben and this era and whatnot, possibly even after the new Legacy of Vader series finishes. I might even revisit this one also again, but anyways, revisiting this series, there was actually a lot of teases in the series with a lot of references to the High Republic era, which the High Republic publishing series was announced around when this series was releasing, and so Soule dropped a lot of hints to it, as we just get several of our first references to that era. In fact, it's straight up name dropped, but we get teases of characters like Avar Kriss, who we'd see in a hologram, in a Jedi holocron in this series, which she's one of the main characters in the Phase 1 and Phase 3 stories, but also locations like Elfrona, and also the Maxine Station, which we see in a couple of the first High Republic stories, which the Maxine Station also then appears later in Soule's Hidden Empire series and the Kira Crimson Dawn saga, which Ren and the Knights of Ren also appear in during the Galactic Civil War. But also in this series, Luke references a lightsaber he found in a High Republic outpost and how it was a trap, which we then see that event in Soule's Star Wars series. So it was nice revisiting this series and seeing some of the hints Soule dropped for future stories, what he ended up telling. But all in all, I enjoyed the series. It's not my favorite of Soule's work, but I like the characterization of Ben/Kylo, and I like the introduction of Ren, and a little bit of Luke's Jedi Temple we got, even though that was a smaller part of it. So yeah, but enjoyed the series. My grade is going to be a B+. So yeah, but next I will review issue 1 of the Legacy of Vader series, so you can check that out next. But in the meantime, you can check out all my other comic reviews and everything else I do. Bevan Star Wars review, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.